The regular meeting of the Board of Education of Perry Local School District is called to order at 5:51 p.m. in the PHS Media Center. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Seoli here. Mrs. Foley.
Here.
Mr. Leidick.
Here.
Mr. Roberts.
Here.
Mrs. Metzger.
Here, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Thompson, Superintendent Spotlight.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, thank you, Mrs. Dees, and everyone for the wonderful reception for our retirees. We're going to be honoring a number of us tonight, and to start it off, I think Mr. Nisley, could you come on up and talk about the folks retiring from the middle school?
All right, the middle school has we have two teachers that are retiring this year. The first is not available to join us tonight, but I still like to talk to him a little bit. Mr. Robert Bales, or as everybody knows him as Bob Bales, one of many Bobs that have been in the middle school as of late. So Bob was hired on May 18th of 1992. He started his teaching journey at Perry Elementary School, and I believe he started exactly the same time that Dr. Malcheski started. Is that correct? Yes? Wonderful. He's taught at both the elementary school as well as the middle school, most recently teaching 8th grade science. As a teacher, Bob's always been inspiring and engaging. Igniting curiosity, encouraging exploration, and drawing even some of the most reluctant learners into the wonders of science. It was not uncommon to walk into his classroom, come around the corner to an explosion or something else that was on fire because he was doing a lab and the kids were just on the edge of their seats. I'm not kidding. The first year I was here, I walked into his classroom as he was igniting something, and it literally scared the daylights out of me. I'm like, "Are we supposed to be doing it?" Yes, this is a science lab. So kids loved his class. Very calm, quirky wit, if you kind of know him. He had, Mr. Bales has a very interesting sense of humor, and the kid just is able to connect with kids. Probably one of the most memorable things about Mr. Bales is it was not uncommon. If you could go to a middle school cross country meet or a 7th grade volleyball game, and you'd see him in the stands. And usually over the years, he was sitting shoulder to shoulder with the other Bob, his other Bob, Bob Nemechek. But probably one of the funniest things that I remember is looking up into the stands. One of the varsity playoff games from 2023, he was up in the student section. I don't know what song was playing over the sound system, but the two Bobs were up there with the kids, and they were just dancing away. And I was so angry that I didn't have my phone, because I really wanted to capture that moment. And so, again, he's not here this evening, so unfortunately, but I would like to recognize Mr. Bob Bales. The next guy is here, and he beat me here for Camp Fish today, so you need to come up here.
There's a quick rush getting here. I can still feel the wind on my face from being at the beach all day.
It was chilly, we'll just say. So we're also here to celebrate the incredible career of Barry Sneed. He was a devoted educator, colleague, and he has literally taught in every building of this district except the high school. So you were part of the elementary school, you were part of the primary school, you were part of the intermediate school, and then he is finishing his career with us at Perry Middle School. Barry started July 14th of 1992. and has spent 27 years teaching elementary grades. He's taught pretty much every subject that you can teach. He has also, fun fact, he was an interim principal. He was a summer school principal. And then most recently, he has finished his career as a math and science teacher as part of our 6th grade team. So 33 years of service to the Perry schools. His impact goes beyond lesson plans and classroom walls. If you think about tradition and personality, and then you mix that with the holiday spirit, those of you that have been around here know well enough that this man probably has the largest collection of nutcrackers that I have ever seen, and possibly, I don't know, it could be a Guinness Book of World Records.
Someone has 6,000 over in some little country I've never heard of, but
You've got time.
And more time to find it now.
Yeah, more time. So, Nutcracker collection, if you want to go see it, especially during the holiday seasons, it is on display, at least part of it's on display, at Del Monte's Italian Treats, which is at the Great Lakes Mall. I know that Barry is very much looking forward to being able to spend more time working at the store with Anthony, buying more nutcrackers, and then just doing whatever else comes next.
Just that I can't buy anymore because they're stacked to the ceiling at the moment, so we'll see.
Well, there's other spaces available.
That's right.
So, congratulations, Barry Speed. This is for Barry.
Thank you.
Okay, to talk about Janet Sprague, Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. Janet Sprague has been a dedicated employee of the Perry Local Schools since 1993. With just over 31 years' experience here at Perry, Janet has been a great resource. Throughout Janet's tenure, she has always been forthcoming with information, shared techniques, willing to assist others, and share additional information. She maintained the highest standards. Janet retired back in December. I find myself referencing her in conversations with employees, some of which are here tonight. Janet is very dedicated to her family. She has her mother, who she does everything with, her daughter, and 2 grandchildren. In true Janet form, she couldn't be here tonight due to her grandchildren's sporting events. On behalf of the Board of Education, I want to thank Janet for her service and wish her a happy and long retirement. Madam President, I'd like to speak to Dr. Thompson.
Can you go outside or?
We could. You may want to. I would like to thank Dr. Thompson for his years of service to our school district, the community, and the county at large. His efforts were paramount to the success of this district. From my perspective, I wish to thank you for your support and your steady hand, your approach in every aspect, especially during the most trying times and countless critical facility items we face at all hours of the day and night. And I truly mean that. And I could elaborate on 100 different items. And I think that maybe in, 14, 15 years, there may have been 2 that we didn't spend a large amount of time on Sunday night contemplating school shutdown because of excessive inclement weather during the Super Bowl. Okay. But from the culture to the approach with every discipline throughout our district, I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
My pleasure.
You will be missed, and I wish you a wonderful retirement and a well-deserved time with your family. Thank you.
Okay, to recognize Tony Ove and Mr. Rockwell.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. Tony could not be with us tonight, but I want to recognize her for her 26 years of dedication to our athletic department. Her last day was January 31st. So dealing with 35 head coaches and well over 100 assistant coaches, as well as myself, on a yearly basis is a tall task. She handled it with great professionalism and dedication and loyalty. Those are the words that come to mind when I think of Tony. Oftentimes I would have to tell her her day was supposed to end at 4:30 p.m. and oftentimes 5:15, 5:30, 6 o'clock, 6:30, she's still there and we've got an event going on. I'm like, Tony, get out of here. She was just that dedicated to making sure that the job got done and got done the right way. So I'm extremely fortunate to have been with her for 14 of my 15 years here at Perry, and we've been very fortunate, well before my time, to have a great deal of success in our community from an athletic standpoint. And I would say, even though she never participated as an athlete here at Perry, or she never coached a game or did anything like that, she was involved in every single victory that we've ever had, because pulling those strings behind the scenes was a huge part of every single win that any of our teams have ever had. So I know our coaches would echo the same thing. I'm excited and happy to report that she's enjoying her retirement. She's been at it for about 5 months now. She had it timed up really well. Her son sort of took care of this. She had a grandson back in mid-January and got to retire about 2 weeks later. So she's enjoying her time doting on Archie Ovens, and getting her yard ready for summer, even though the weather's been less than ideal. I talk to her every couple of weeks. We still bug her. Ashley and I have to call her every once in a while. How do we do this? How do we do that? And she's been a great sport at that too. So thank you to Tony for all of your years of dedication to Perry local schools. She's certainly going to be missed. And I will echo Mr. Smith, Dr. Thompson, thank you for all your time here. You brought great stability to our district at a time of we didn't have a lot of it, and certainly over the last 15 years, you've been a guiding force for us from top to bottom. So in addition to hiring me, thank you. You did great things for the Perry local schools, and you're certainly going to be missed as well. I think I might know where to find you once retirement hits, so I'm sure we'll be seeing you down the road. But thank you for everything.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for those kind words. Mr. Smith, you've taught me so much. I think I can use the word effectuate appropriately now. If somebody asks me about thumping lines, I now know what that means, and that you can actually use sonar to discover leaks in water line breaks and those things. And terrazzo, and how many coats of wax it takes to make those things shine out there, and just an abundance of things that I'm going to walk away with as a result of working with you. So thank you. And obviously, TJ, it's been great. Even though we've had a lot of attorney fees on your behalf, we've gotten through it, and it's been a wonderful journey. So now it's my pleasure to speak about a couple of our leadership team members that are retiring. And so let's start with Mr. Nisley. Come on up. The leadership team's big bear. Where's he at? Oh, there he is. It's gonna be okay. Mr. Nisley, he started his career at North Olmsted City Schools back in 1992. Went on to Cuyahoga Heights and was a social studies teacher there for 93 through 95. Then went to the Kenston schools. We have some commonality there. I did hear some stories that I will not be sharing. From 95 to 2005, where he was a teacher, softball, and football coach, and at the same time was doing an administrative internship at Chagrin Falls. And wrestling as well. That's awesome. And then he went off to Chardon Schools from 2005 to 2007 as the assistant middle school principal.
Then to Stowe Monroe Falls schools from 2007 to 2010, where he was a middle school principal, and then to Perry Schools in 2010, and where he stayed up until his retirement in 2025, where he served as the high school principal and the middle school principal from 2010 to 2025. Has been involved in the Ohio Association of Secondary School Administrators for some time, and also served in the Lead for Learners Steering Committee. From the time I met Bob, he's always displayed a warm and caring demeanor. He is Mr. Steady. On any given day, you will find him at the entrance of his building, greeting students as they enter, supervising students in the cafeteria, and moving them along at dismissal. He is the calming force in times of crisis. While we have experienced many wonderful events together at Perry, we've also been through some dark moments. Together, we have dealt with terrible student and staff accidents, sickness, and death. Evacuations of the district, worldwide pandemic, and the emergence of social-emotional discord from overexposure to internet content. These are the times Bob is at his best. During a crisis, Bob is the calming force we lean on to keep us moving. I can use that other gun now, but that's okay. He does this at great cost to himself. For him, conflict is something to be avoided. So, when possible, he acquiesces. His loyalty, compassion, and caring for those he serves are unmatched. He gladly gives himself for the benefit of others. Over the years, Bob has been that listening ear for so many of us, going through hard times. People know they can speak freely to him and be vulnerable, because what is said to Bob stays with Bob. Bob is a true historian who, as a teacher, loves his content. I have enjoyed the opportunities over the past 14 years to prompt him with various historical inquiries. The storyteller in Bob immediately emerges, and using his eloquent speaking and delivery skills, he will bring history to life right in front of my eyes. I could sit and listen to Bob cite history for hours, as, like serving others, it is truly his passion. All I need to say is, bombs away, LeMay. Tell the story. Isn't he like the fifth? What is Bob LeMay?
Curtis LeMay?
Yeah, what do you do?
Five-star general,
Five-star general. What's he known for?
dropping a lot of bombs.
You're not following up.
He was the first Air Force Chief of Staff, Commander of the Air Force.
Okay.
Keep going.
You get the idea. I can't stump him. I can pick any historical event and he can go to town with it. Bob's reflective introspection and analytical skills shone bright when planning for his building. He spent many hours envisioning the educational experiences he wanted to create for his students. From this work emerged Connected Authentic Learning, or CAP. This authentic learning initiative is designed to foster passion in student learning, to be supported through school growth plans, units of performance assessments, and professional learning committee goals, all aligned to ensure these outcomes. Bob has always been considered one of our experts when working with the Ohio Teachers Evaluation System, and has continually provided assistance to our administrative team in this area. Bob has done an effective job mentoring and bringing along, I think, 5 assistant principals. He's grown significantly in confronting issues head on, always working to build consensus or find a solution everyone is willing to accept. Bob's insightful contributions to the discussions at leadership and strategic meetings will be greatly missed. He speaks movingly in front of groups and demonstrates a high level of proficiency at using Google and other support programs. Bob has had a strong run as a Perry Middle School principal. He fully embraced the culture and leadership work we demanded and has established a system involving staff and students that will serve to sustain the culture we expect at Perry local schools. He worked diligently to build relationships with active parents who require frequent communication, guidance, and support. Bob is a skilled principal that is caring and passionate towards his students and staff. He articulates well, thought-out plans that demonstrate a strong knowledge of curriculum and pedagogy. He will comply with any directives given to him and never intentionally fails to meet the expectations of the leadership team. Bob is in his element when working closely with students, whether in the cafeteria, the gym, running an activity, at a dance, or volunteering as a football or softball coach. He expresses genuine care for all students indiscriminately, and students know that he sees them and notices them. Students who've had the opportunity to interact regularly with Bob positively grow from the experience. He is a visionary leader who has a deep understanding of curriculum and high standards of teaching and learning. The Cal Initiative truly provides the personalized needs of all students at PMS. Bob plays an active role at the state level by serving on the board of directors and legislative co-chair for OASSA. As a result of Bob's dedicated work, he was named Middle School Principal of the Year for the state of Ohio in 2024. He embodies the primary core value we look for in staff, which is genuine care for the students and the people we serve. He cares for people so deeply that at times the difficult decisions he had to make became particularly troubling and gut-wrenching. No matter how Bob is treated, he will never do anything to intentionally hurt another. He has provided his staff with multiple professional growth opportunities where he participated along their side to better serve the students of the community. Bob will be missed by Perry, and I will always cherish the professional growth and fun that we experienced together. It has been an honor watching you and Mindy raise your children, McKenna, Luke, and Jack, to the wonderful adults they have become. On behalf of all of us at Perry Schools, we wish you the best on your future endeavors. Thank you. Dr. Betty Jo Malcheski, come on up. You might need a chair. So Dr. Malcheski was my first hire when I became superintendent 14 years ago. And she immediately demonstrated the kind of person she is, and she went to work. And so, Mrs. Buchanan, I don't want to scare you away, but buckle up. Dr. Malcheski started her career in Hamilton City Schools in 1992 as a teacher. Then she came to Perry Schools and taught till 1996 when Willoughby Eastlake Schools stole her away. She served as a gifted coordinator and assistant principal there from 96 to 98 and a principal from 98 to 2000. And then curriculum specialist and director of federal programs from 1996 to 2011. Then in 2011, she came back to serve on our leadership team as director of curriculum instruction assessment, and then was promoted to assistant superintendent. Betty Jo is highly organized, task-oriented, and has demonstrated the capacity to lead high levels of teaching and learning. It was back in 2012 when she led the committee that successfully implemented our first 21st century grant, creating what became known as Quest. Remember Quest? I'll never forget that day we were at the retreat when we got the notification of that first grant coming through, and we were elated. Little did we know that this after-school intervention extended learning program that increased engagement of our at-risk populations. Who knew then that this was only the beginning of 21st century grant awards? Over the next 14 years under Betty Jo's leadership, Perry Schools prospered from 21st century grant monies like no other district in the state. In the area of curriculum, Betty Jo quickly mapped out a comprehensive plan for the implementation and adoption of the new Common Core standards. Remember those? From day one, Betty Jo demanded that all instructional decisions be made utilizing formative data and would be implemented with high quality and engaging professional development, including initiatives such as instructional rounds.
Will that mean friends?
Yeah, that went over well.
That mean friends.
We didn't know the history. She engaged instructional technology and data specialists to ensure that teachers had easy access to the data needed to inform instruction. This led to her decision to incorporate Tableau to enhance our teachers' ability to manipulate data specific to their students. After closely analyzing the many programs being utilized, Betty Jo demonstrated her ability to make difficult decisions by choosing to no longer pay to be a SOAR district. And everybody was doing it. And changed how we utilize the READ 180 program. Throughout the process, she continued to model and advocate for a strong, formative, and summative assessment system in our district. To support this, Betty Jo implemented the formative instructional practices we all know and love as FIT model to develop a clear process and common language among staff for authentic learning. She led the district in the development of authentic instruction through professional development by promoting the 6 elements present in authentic learning and incorporating the FIT modules to reinforce highly effective instructional practices. She required all improvement plans include areas of focus on FIT modules. I had no choice. Under Betty Jo's leadership, our professional development has evolved to be extremely targeted and embraced by the entire district. Our early adoption of MAP testing was a challenging process that successfully provided us with meaningful and relevant diagnostic data about our students. The growing pains we suffered shifting to an electronic-based diagnostic system resulted in Perry being poised to be prepared like no other for the next generation of assessments that were cast along with the implementation of, again, the Common Core standards. I came to the district as a Microsoft advocate, and I lost the war to Betty Jo to Google. There was really no fight.
It's free, Lord, it's free.
Talk about records. I think she holds the record for the most tabs open at one time on her laptop. Under Betty Jo's leadership, our professional development has evolved to be extreme. Oh, did I say that? Our early adoption of MAP testing was challenging, and at this time, Betty Jo not only had led the successful implementation of 21st Century Grant at PMS, but she also scored us another 21st Century Grant that brought $750,000 additional grant dollars to implement a program at the high school level. This early implementation of grant dollars would not have been possible without Betty Jo's ability to pull together the principals, literacy specialists, director of student services, and provide targeted interventions utilizing the RTI process. During this process, Betty Jo provided the leadership to empower our literacy specialists to expand services from basically a K-2 program to what is now a K-8 program. Betty Jo also embraced the professional growth and development of our administrative team by actively planning our retreats and strategic meetings. Her work ethic has always embodied our mission to be self-directed, lifelong learners. One example of this early on was facilitating parent meetings she coined as PEAT, Parent Educator Academic Team. When we needed it most, the PEAT meetings became an outstanding venue to deliver instructional news to our community and gain the needed support to be successful pushing initiatives forward. In the meantime, Perry received an additional 21st Century Grant for high school and we created the Perry College and Career Academy, and was also awarded a $600,000 21st Century Grant to our elementary school, meaning we became the only district in the state of Ohio that had money flowing in all 3 buildings. Seeing a blind spot in our human resources area, Betty Jo created and distributed a teacher handbook in compliance with a negotiated agreement which had been agreed upon several years prior to our arrival at Perry. She continued to oversee testing, which was conducted numerous times throughout each year, preparing our students for the next generation. Betty Jo worked closely with building leaders and staff to ensure blizzard bags were utilized with fidelity.
This is no more, right?
No more. She continued insisting on the use of formative instructional practices and utilized the Fit Your School mantra for individualizing and group professional growth and development. During this time, we were also increasing our use of technology tools, where Betty Jo assisted in the move to a one-to-one device environment. As always, this innovative move, coupled with professional development by bringing in consultants to work firsthand on utilizing technology to enhance instruction. Furthermore, Betty Jo continued to manage educational technology decisions to ensure we maintain the capacity to utilize technology to enhance instruction and prepare our students for online assessments. Betty Jo has been able to manage a multitude of areas while continuing to maintain a systematic approach to improvement. With all the new innovative practices going on in the district, Betty Jo still carved out time to expand her knowledge. She visited cutting-edge learning institutions such as the AST2 in Youngstown, traveled to San Diego where she got to experience the famed High-Tech High, and visited a number of STEM schools in the area. Not to be limited to the work within the school year, Betty Jo created, marketed, and oversaw a major summer stretch program that served students of all abilities, allowing authentic learning to continue during the summer months. I have always admired Betty Jo's laser focus on the guaranteed curriculum and authentic learning, increasing problem-based learning, providing intervention and enrichment, landing and managing a multitude of both federal and competitive grants, and investigating numerous Title IX complaints along the way. She builds strong relationships and is able to inspire those around her to give their best, which is evidenced by the learning facilitator, literacy specialist, math coach, data specialist, and administrative specialist, principals who all are proud to consider Betty Jo their direct report. As if this isn't enough, I have yet to mention all the state mandates and directives that have been dropped in her office over the past 14 years, such as the development of the comprehensive local evaluation system. Again, Betty Jo's leadership efforts have been vital in meeting the OD requirements, while still providing meaningful feedback to our staff. Her work with the new Ohio Teachers Evaluation System was exemplary. She dedicated herself to ensure our administrative team was trained and given direct feedback to their evaluation practices. She worked closely with the PCTA to develop highly detailed and thorough reference guides and documents to help make a very complex process more understandable. Remember those meetings? Betty Jo also closely monitored the development of teacher-student learning objectives known as SLOs. This was accomplished by pulling together a SLO committee containing representation from all stakeholders charged to monitor and improve the process going forward. Betty Jo never wavered in her work to oversee the development of curriculum as we strive to offer the most innovative learning opportunities possible. Betty Jo has always been integral in establishing the foundation of new courses. In the early years, there were courses such as game design, web design, and introductory engineering design. Later on, this expanded to CTE courses such as STNA and welding. Betty Jo also served to provide guidance and leadership in our delivery of world languages and developed such in conjunction with our obligation to serve English language learners. Her close work with this group led to an innovative approach to provide our elementary students with exposure to Spanish, while also providing English language acquisition to our ELL population using a co-teach model. Betty Jo continued to improve the 5 professional development days she was charged with planning, which now provides an array of content to meet the growth and development needs of all teachers. This evolution occurred by taking a collaborative approach and listening to what the teachers see as their needs and incorporating them into the district goals. Over the years, Betty Jo has done an excellent job soliciting expert presenters from our teaching staff to share their knowledge with colleagues and then remain a resource as we move forward. Now the professional development being provided during PD days has successfully transcended beyond these days to become district-wide initiatives. In the area of new teacher training, Betty Jo closely led with the lead facilitator to develop a thorough yet thoughtful program to onboard our new teacher hires on the expectations to become a positive contributor to the Perry schools. After listening to the feedback from one of the largest new hiring classes of teachers in the history of Perry, Betty Jo made considerable changes to how the program was to be delivered, along with what content was to be included. It is this type of reflective practice toward continual improvement that sets Betty Jo apart from other administrative leaders in the education industry. The Resident Educator Program and the Local Professional Development Committee are additional areas of responsibility that have benefited greatly from Betty Jo's expert leadership and task orientation. The RTI process and diagnostic testing have become a systematic approach to monitoring student progress and preparation for high-stakes testing that is embedded in our everyday professional practice. Over the years, this brought many difficult decisions, such as dropping part testing and developing tests through air, and most recently, the decision to go back to paper and pencil. Betty Jo is a self-reliant achiever. Being self-directed, she drives herself towards excellence with minimal support and or monitoring. Her reputation as a strong leader empowers those around her. Betty Jo also consistently demonstrates a highly skilled ability to write. A waiver written to ODE applying to be one of the 10 schools permitted to create performance assessments as an alternative to high-stakes testing was judged to be one, if not the best, written proposal in the state of Ohio. Her work was so highly respected, the Interactive Lab Network Districts elected her as the president of the statewide group of performing school districts. Betty Jo has made every effort to be sure a common understanding is pervasive throughout our educational community. To do this, she incorporated a variety of media, including video productions, where students were utilized to inform the public of our understanding of authentic learning. Betty Jo also provided information through her regular newsletters, News on Learning, conducted presentations to the board and other stakeholders. And in my humbling opinion, her best work is the development and implementation of the Perry Learner Profile. This document succinctly defines what each student should know, be able to do, and aspire towards as a Perry pilot. And there's a small poster of that up there on the board. That learner profile is also used throughout the state as a model for other districts to follow. Her work on the culture for learning and achievement, formative instructional practices, and the graduate profile has established a solid base to accomplish a true transformation to the instructional practices at Perry. As a result of her work, units of every course are now viewable to the public, and data teams are in place to respond to instructional needs. Betty Jo demonstrated the courage to challenge the very core of our culture and to do whatever it takes to help stakeholders understand why we must embrace the challenge and difficult work to change our ways of doing. Shifting our current grading and reporting practices to a genuine system of a more accurately monitoring the learning of our students is an endeavor that was met with much resistance. She's always collected and disaggregated various achievement and growth measures to analyze student achievement and drive instructional improvement in both summative and formative practices. Many surveys have been conducted to gain from a variety of stakeholders, including parents, staff, students along the way. Much of this data was particularly used to demonstrate readiness to move forward within the implementation of standards-based learning. To monitor student achievement on state test standards, data dashboards were created illustrating pre- and post-test outcomes. This data served as diagnostics to gain understanding and provide a predictive measure of where our students were likely to fall based on the state benchmarks. Betty Jo also monitored the level of proficiency rubrics that had been completed at the K-12 level for ELA, science, social studies, and exploratory courses at the high school. She engaged in a number of activities aimed at providing clarity to stakeholders and making progress towards achieving district goals. Again, she videoed students, parent focus groups, oh yeah, we got those waivers. I don't know where they are. Information nights, spirit fingers, coffees. Betty Jo published various informational media, both electronically and in print. This included trifold brochures, web-based frequently asked questions, communication letters, and all kinds of videos. Betty Jo also met numerous parents individually in small groups to work through perceived issues. In addition, because of how Betty Jo and Perry are seen in the region, she was able to consistently pull together neighboring districts and build collaborations to be awarded other grants, such as the Striving Reader Grant that brought over $500,000 into the area schools. Betty Jo has been able to successfully engage in outside professional networks dedicated to making impact at the state level. Not only serving as president of Innovative Lab Network, she represented Perry at various meetings outside the district. Some of these meetings included curriculum director meetings, Ohio Leadership Improvement for OLAC training, Future Ready Schools, Teacher Guild, Women in Educational Leadership, 21st Century State Summit, Talk, Network Entrepreneurial Mindset Facilitator Training, Cultural Sensitivity Training, Noel, and now Artificial Intelligence Summits. Times of crisis typically see the strongest leaders rise to the top, and there is no doubt that Betty Jo stepped up and was there providing the support and encouragement necessary to set people at ease in time of unrest and panic. During the pandemic, she took it upon herself to record a video message to staff and the community that provided eloquent reassurance that we will get through this together. As always, Betty Jo set the example by getting to work and providing systematic plans for moving into a landscape of remote learning. For Perry, it wasn't sufficient to just establish a capacity to execute remote learning, but to do it well by providing sound instructional expectations and the interventions for those demonstrating such a need. This would not have been possible without already establishing a foundation of culture and instructional beliefs and behaviors. Betty Jo accomplishes by setting a clear vision, utilizing her district leadership and district learner profile she created in collaboration with fellow stakeholders. With this serving as a base, she then established a step-by-step improvement process focused on data-induced building level goals and in coinciding professional development required to achieve instructional growth. Has anybody seen one of Betty Jo's charts? Being awarded the Striving Readers Grant, the 21st Century CCLC Grant, federal grants, Striving Readers, and the EOEC Grant has provided the means to allow our district to explore and implement highly innovative programming to provide our students and staff with experiences that are much more personalized and can potentially accelerate learning curves through meaningfulness and relevance. The EOEC Grant was the beginning steps that opened the door to purchase what is now multiple houses that allows students to gain real-life home renovation experiences while earning course credit. And that ribbon-cutting event for that first house was something this district needed in the worst way. And it was one of the most heartwarming moments that I've ever experienced as an educator. Thank you. Whether the Growing Leaders Initiative, Teachers Guild work, or the Ohio Improvement Process, every learning and improvement opportunity Betty Jo implements at Perry is in direct response to a data-based decision. The only standing relationship and activity in the teaching guild, the long-standing relationship, paid huge dividends. After years of preparation, PES was able to successfully launch within a school, coined the Perry Ingenuity Institute, PII, which is now expanding to a school-wide level. With a teacher substitute shortage, Betty Jo took advantage of the relief legislation and built our substitute capacity by bringing on college students and other newly qualified candidates to help fill the void. This was done locally outside of what the ESC was trying to provide. Betty Jo was able to expand grant funds coming into the district by being awarded the Ohio School of Wellness, Remote EDX, and Industry Credential Career Workforce Funding. The work that has been done most recently to expand our industry credential opportunities by providing a welding lab and now an innovation hub for our students, again, serves as a model for other districts to follow. All told, Betty Jo has brought in over $8,636,000 into the district in grant money. Betty Jo is intense. We got you. Restless and driving. Always on the move in pursuit of greatness and becoming a better version of who she is every day. I have been so blessed to work with her over the years. Her intense focus on instruction has allowed me to pursue my passion of creating a positive, caring culture. We have been the perfect yin and yang, ham and eggs. And as Forrest Gump wisely states, my mama says we go together like peas and carrots. As with Bob, it has been a pleasure watching Betty Jo and husband Paul raise their children, Emma and Dan, be the wonderful adults they have become. It has also been an honor to have gotten to know her mom, Judy, and sister Kelly as well. They work hard and they play hard. And we could always count on Betty Jo I'll never forget, and Bob's pretty good at it too. Turn on some music, and they're gonna get after it. Lover Boy and Red Handkerchiefs. Oh, it'll be emblazoned on my mind, and we're never gonna say more than that.
The story hasn't come home.
But let's just say she can dance. I appreciate our last 14 years together, Betty Jo, and the impact and influence you have had on me. Working with you has made me a better person. From all of us at Perry Schools, thank you for all the years of service and good luck in your future pursuits.
This girl's gonna go home and rest.
You got more work.
Years ahead, right?
I believe that. Oh, no.
If I could just say, I wish I could say a lot of thank yous, but none of this office could have happened without my secretary, administrative assistant, Lori Langdon, and Deb Coon before her. All of this rests on the back of lots of like, what are we doing now? Whose job is this? And she always takes it on. So Lori Langdon, thank you so much.
You had to cry to get you.
I did cry a little bit.
Yes.
It worked though, it worked.
Yeah, they did.
Well, there goes my speech. You guys need an intermission or anything?
Long
I
way.
was actually just gonna come up here and say that Jack is very lighthearted and he doesn't like to talk. But
We all know that.
so, if you could really help me, I'd appreciate it, because I didn't write a speech, so I'm just gonna go off the cuff a little bit. I appreciate interaction whenever you feel like it.
Okay.
So it's gonna be nice, don't worry. This is not one of those, this is easier than a board meeting, believe me. I'm gonna go back to, I'm gonna ask you to raise your hand, so this is the teacher in you, right? Do you remember 1999, when the new millennium was gonna turn, right? We're gonna go to 2000, and we were worried that electricity was gonna go out. We might run out of goods in the grocery store, so people were buying water, they were buying batteries, and it was just kind of a weird time, right? Remember that? Am I the only one that went to the store and got batteries? Okay. So I'm going back to that because.
Call me old.
What's that?
You call me old, aren't you?
No. He didn't start here then, so, it's just a funny little story I have. I don't know if it's funny, but I was thinking about it the other day because it took me back to the reason the 1999 came up and the thinking about the new millennium was because I met Jack in 1999. It's right before I moved to Perry, so don't get mad. I was living in Madison, both were. I signed up to teach or coach my son's Little League team. And, I knew everybody in Madison who played softball, knew everybody who played baseball. So back then, when you sign up to be a coach, you kind of just get a piece of paper, they tell you where to go, and you show up at the field. And I got there, and I remember knowing my paper, it said that the other coach was going to be this guy named Jack Thompson. And I had never heard of that name. And all I thought was, he better be good. He better know baseball, he better know what he's talking about, because I don't want to coach with someone that doesn't know how to coach baseball. So lo and behold, he was a fantastic coach. As you can imagine, he was a really, really talented coach. But so I got there and I got to meet his wife Sherry back in 1999, I believe. And their daughter was actually the one that was on the team with my son. So it was really interesting. And it was baseball. So I got to meet Sherry and she was very lovely. I loved meeting her and spending time with her, and she was very kind and generous and warm-hearted and came to all those games and sat in her chair with her other daughter at the time, I believe, probably 2 or 3 years old maybe. And I thought, well, this Thompson family's not bad. They're pretty nice people. I like him. He's okay. So I did. I thought he was a good guy, and he really was caring. You could see how much he cared about kids because the way he coached them and he interacted with kids. He was patient.
You're leaving out the part where I had to tell you to hit the balls easier at the kids instead of
Yeah,
smacking.
well, we're both competitive, but I probably was a little more competitive. He did tell me I had to not hit the ball so hard at kids practicing grounders. So,
He's up.
he was very compassionate, very caring, just a great coach and a great person. So we had a great time coaching that year, and kind of went on from there, right? 1999, and think about how long ago that was. I was just mentioning the new millennium, right? Think about how long ago that was in our lives. So fast forward to 2011, okay? Was anybody here? Raise your hand if you're here in 2011. Okay, maybe you lived in Perry, maybe you worked here, maybe your kids went here. I lived here. My son that we coached in T-ball was getting ready to graduate, and it was 2011. And I have a newspaper article here on my phone from March 28th, I think, 2011, where the board unanimously voted to select Jack Thompson to be the next superintendent of Perry Local Schools. So wow, I had no idea that our paths would cross again and he was gonna end up being a Perry. We didn't have any connections much over the years, so there was, it was just interesting to see that happen. So he ended up in Perry as the superintendent. And I think that it's important to note through that time, you know, this board, as Jack was quoted a few weeks ago, this board that's here now did not hire him. None of us were here, none of us were part of it. But we did hire you a couple years ago, so we brought you back. You've been with us for years, so we did hire you.
I accept that.
Give us some creds, all right? But in 2011, it was a different board, but they unanimously selected Jack. And so here we are, we're here today. So I do want to say that in order to have a successful school district, it's like Jack just talked about, right? It's the leadership team. And back in 2011, he started building that team, and that team is sitting in here tonight. A lot of them are here. As you know, some of them are departing, some of them are returning, and some are here and they're continuing on to grow their own team. So thank you, Jack. Thank you to your team that you built and to all of you, because it really does takes a lot of talent, takes a lot of unique experience, takes a lot of skills and a variety of people to make a successful district. And I think that starts with the leadership, and it started with your passion and your empathy towards people and caring. And that was one of the things we probably often get on Jack about. So even though it's a really great skill and it's a great asset for him to have, there's oftentimes that this board will tell Jack he needs to be mean. And he's not good at being mean, so that's okay. Sherry, do you want to come up? None of his kids are here, but and you know what, that's okay. He has a different style for leadership, and it's empathetic, and he's a good leader, and he knows how to build a team of people around him to make things successful. So I appreciate that, and thank you. Thank you to all of you. I think this is probably going to be hard for him to make this adjustment, because there's a lot that goes on that people don't see behind the scenes. Yes, there's board meetings. Yes, there's the day-to-day. The kids are on campus, and superintendents are doing their thing, running their districts, and all of the leaders in the district are doing their thing. But there's a lot that goes on. Superintendency position is 24/7. It doesn't stop. There's plenty of times over the years where I know I've called, and Sherry's probably been in the car, and still Sherry isn't hi, because they're on their way to their son's football game, or on their way home from visiting their daughter, or wherever they may be on a Sunday, Saturday night, Saturday morning. It doesn't matter. I'm sure all of us at some point, I know we have, if we're a fact, have called him any time of day, and he would always answer. And he probably talked us off the ledge most of the time, because we would call frantic about something that we heard or something that was concerning the community. So we wanted to make sure that we had things under control. And there was a lot that went on that people don't see. And I think that needs to be recognized. And I want you to know how much we appreciate that, because I think your heart and soul that poured into this district was demonstrated through your actions and the way you were always responsive, and you always were there when we needed you. So I really appreciate that. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank Sherry for sharing him with us for all these years. It's really been fortunate for this district to have him, so thank you for sharing him with us.
Just don't send me an email.
No, nothing, no, don't do that. You know, I don't need to go over the history of the district and say anything that happened over the last 14 years, because Jack did that, so I'm not going
Joe
to.
did it.
You know, the one thing that really sticks out a lot for, I think, for this board and for Jack is probably the restart in 2020, and I don't want to talk about that time period of what was going on in our world. It was a challenge. And we were all caught off guard with the restart plan and the reopening of schools. And I'll never forget that that board meeting we had. And it was a challenge. We were up on stage in the Goodwood Theater. We don't normally hold meetings there, but we did because we had to socially distance. And it ended up being one of our worst memories. And we said we never want to have another board meeting there again because it was a bad memory.
It
But
was a
after
great
that
board
meeting,
meeting though, because
it turned into a good thing.
the first time Lou ever let me spend money.
Yes, he did.
Because he felt so bad.
A
He
lot
said,
of money.
okay, you can spend some money.
But it did end up turning into a positive experience. And that was because the way that Jack pivoted and changed courses, almost, I mean, to come up with a brand new plan of what it was going to look like to restart school. And we were one of the only schools that pushed through and were in school more than anyone in the area that I know of. And that's thanks and credit to Jack and the leadership team here that made this happen. So the willingness to change and adapt and pivot, those are strengths that you have that I think go a long way and are appreciated by all of us. So I guess in closing, the only other, I want to mention someone that was very near and dear. Mark Welch, former board member who obviously isn't with us anymore, but I know he would love to be here today. And he was Jack's golf partner in the golf cart, so that was always interesting, watching them try to navigate through a golf course together over the years. But
He was a really bad golfer.
He was a really bad golfer.
Might be the worst golfer of all time.
Yes, Mark had a hard time. He didn't lose just the balls, he lost clubs, I think. So it was fun watching them navigate through the course together. So thank you, and it's been a pleasure working with you all these years. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you to your family. And take as many mulligans as you want, because we're not counting. So thank you.
I appreciate it.
Well, I haven't said enough, right? But I just, thank you for those kind words, and thanks to the board, even the ones that didn't pick me, for all the support over the years, because Tiffany said it right. This is a challenging position, but it's one that I've been blessed and will always appreciate the opportunity to serve the Perry schools. And I had my eye on this place before I was selected. I applied for a couple positions and didn't even get an interview. But finally, they let me in, and now they're, gonna get me out, fine. But the thing about this district is, great environment, a great location attracts great people. And the commonality that we all share, we're here because this is a wonderful place to be. And it's just been, I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to work alongside of you folks, to provide, get the support and the reinforcement and encouragement that I got from all the folks these last 14 years. It has been a challenging time, but a great party. And the people at Perry are like no other. And you're just so fortunate to be a part of this wonderful community, and I was so fortunate to serve it. And so thank you so much.
I forgot to show this picture I found from 1999. There's a big version of it. I put one on your desk.
Oh, thank you.
It's actually, I'm calling it Jorts Jack, because if you know what jorts are, he was coaching in his long denim shorts that went a little past his knees.
They're coming back.
Yeah, well, they're coming back, but this was in 1999. I'm not sure where they were So, Mr. Porcello, you might want to make sure you have good coaching attire, so it doesn't come back to haunt you someday.
Yes, I remember that picture.
To all our retirees, thank you so much for all you've done for the district. This district is strong because of the people that work for it. And the commonality among all of our people is they truly care about doing what's best for all the kids of the district. And that's what comes first. And the opportunities that our kids have, the career readiness and educational opportunities they have rival any large district, any private school district. And we are just so proud of everything that you all do for our kids and grateful for it. So thank you to all that you do, and best of luck to all of you in your futures, whatever that may hold. Come back and visit, substitute whenever you want to. we hope to see you again. If you don't know, this is generally our longest meeting of the year, and that started it out in a pretty long way. So let's just take a quick 10 minutes and come back at 8 minutes. We'll come back at about 7 if anyone needs to stretch their legs, and we'll resume at 7 o'clock. Thank you. We're going to resume now with committee reports. Does anyone have a committee report? We did meet with some of the members of the rec board committee, or I actually went to the rec board meeting, and just to check in because we had asked about whether summer rec was happening, and summer rec is not happening through Perry Rec. There is a summer rec program through Great Day Childcare, but there this year is no actual summer rec program running through Perry Recreation District. So hopefully that's something that will come back in the future. I think it's a great program for kids and gives kids something to do in the summer, and it's a big service to both our younger children and our students for employment in the summers. So we hopefully will be in communication with them and keep updated on where that may go next year. Does anyone else have a committee report?
That was it.
Okay. Dr. Thompson, administrative update.
Yes, thank you. I just want to take a moment to thank the custodial maintenance staff for preparing the competition gym for the commencement exercises this past weekend. That place, as always, was spotless, and they spend a significant amount of time in there making sure that it's in the right condition to honor our 2025 graduates. It was a wonderful ceremony, and special thanks goes out to Chief Williams. We did have increased presence and safety forces there, and there was a lot of folks in uniform to make sure we were well protected, and I appreciate him being able to do that in the last minute. But just a great ceremony. Good luck to all those graduating seniors. Academically, let's close up the right way. I think we're done with AP testing now. Our high school kids are getting ready for finals. At the middle and elementary levels, we're going to continue to, push some academics and also have some celebrations along the way. Looking forward to those. We got some dunk tanks ahead, right? Or some things. I want to get the times that the certain folks are in those. It's going to be important. And athletically, good luck to our spring sports athletes. We heard word from the coach over here that our girls won 4-0. They in district now, so they'll play Mentor on Thursday, I believe, in Mentor. And then our boys have a big game against Orange. Track, when we run, do we know?
Districts Thursday and Saturday.
Districts Thursday and Saturday. Where we have a tennis. Everybody know? But that got to be coming up with their tournaments soon too as well. But anyway, good luck to all those kiddos. Let's close this thing up right. And with that, obviously, one more box that needs to be checked is the budget. The Senate is going to be coming out with their version of the biennium budget probably next week. And as Mrs. Capo is going to explain to us, as she's trying to do a 5-year forecast without a lot of information, we're going to be watching closely and being ready to pivot on that, depending on the kind of information we get. Mr. Galan, we appreciate his efforts down there to make sure that we're being seen on those nice, soft, hard oak benches when they come out of committee. And we're going to do the work we need to do to hopefully continue to get Perry supported with that budget. So with that, I'd like to turn over the update to Mrs. Capo.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. As Dr. Thompson mentioned, we will be asking for approval of the 5-year forecast tonight. We do this twice a year in May and November, and it gives us a chance to look at where we are right now and where we're headed in regards to our finances. Forecast, it's just a tool, right? It's not an inevitable course set in stone. It just sort of gives us an opportunity, a heads up of potential challenges that we may be facing. And this year, there are more of those potential challenges than usual due to the urgent call for property tax reform after the unusually large increases we saw in this last revaluation cycle. So currently, there are over 20 different proposed bills, all attempting to provide some sort of property tax relief. And so in addition to the usual challenges of the uncertainty around all of our revenues because of the power plant, we now have these myriad of possible bills to contend with as well. Most of these would not have an impact or very little impact on our district, but there are a couple that would have a very material impact. So as I go through, I'm going to talk about those a little bit. Property taxes are a big deal, and that's the first line on our forecast. And when you look at that, we do have an increase this year, and we'll see an increase again next year due to the fact that we're on the 20th floor in our class 1 properties. Therefore, valuations go up, so do our collections. It's important to keep in mind, though, that even with this, the increase that we saw from the revaluation, we're still collecting less than we did just 6 years ago. If you look back 10 years, we're collecting 11% less than then, and we're collecting 55% less than 25 years ago. So while some people will say that this is a windfall, a substantial increase, we're still behind the ball when you look at the big picture. And this is not typical of most school districts. It's because of we're a power plant district. And so we're one of a very few districts in the state that have actually seen negative growth in our tax revenues, right? So it's nice that we got that increase. That's a happy thing, but we're not guaranteed to continue it because already there's challenges to it. But some of those potential challenges, first, Vistra has already filed a challenge on their valuation. They're looking for a $60 million reduction in their property tax valuation. Our county auditor has advised me that we should expect to collect about $500,000 less until there's a settlement reached on that, and that could take a couple years. So for every year that it takes to reach a settlement, we're going to lose $500,000 in revenue. Additionally, there's a House Bill 186, that's being considered right now, and that would cap growth due to being at the 20-month floor on an inflationary index. If that were to pass, it would basically wipe away the entire amount of our increase that we just saw. And the way that it's worded right now, we would only be able to see a 2.4% increase, and so it would take away we would end up collecting about $2 million less than what I have projected over the next 2 years. And that would be a very material impact on our forecast. We'd be almost certainly in deficit spending next year, and it would start to whittle away at our cash balance much more quickly than I had thought. So we're keeping an eye on that one. Property taxes, though, are only 45% of our revenue. Most of the other 55% comes from another bill, the biennial budget bill. That, as Dr. Thompson said, has not been finalized yet. So we do have the House version. That's House Bill 96. And so that's what I use for most of the forecast projections. In that version, they kind of basically did away with the fair school funding formula. And so our state funding formula funding is stagnant. They kind of just said everybody gets a little bit more, and it really is just a little bit more. Next year, we'll see about $47,000 more, and in fiscal 27, it's only $13,000 more. We spend more per pupil than that. So those revenues are going to be flat. The other piece of the biennial budget bill, and probably the most important piece, is the power plant reimbursement. One line that's 1/3 of our overall revenues. Currently, in the House version, it is still frozen at the 2017 levels through fiscal 27. And that's how it was in the governor's version as well. But we're not quite certain about what's going to be in the Senate version. Lou, though, as Jack said, has been working diligently to get it in there. And we have been working with the other nuclear district, and we believe we have some language now that the Senate is going to be able to support. So in my forecast, I did forecast that we'll have that freeze through 27. But to be conservative, I did start phasing out again in 2028 or in fiscal 28. I went with the assumption that the state's not going to let us take a giant hit all at once, that there'll be a gradual phase out. But some people do have an opinion of the language that states that when that freeze expires, we immediately go back to where we should be on that phase-out schedule. And if that were to happen, it would be an immediate loss of $3 million. Again, I don't think that's likely, but it is a possibility, so I just want you guys to be aware. On the expenditure side, there's not very many changes, luckily, not much to talk about. I do want to mention that there's some changes from the November forecast, mostly in salaries, due to those proposals that we passed in, that you guys approved in December. Salaries for this year are up a little bit because of 2% stipend. And then in fiscal 27 and 28, they're increased because of the 3% that was in this proposal. But for next year, in fiscal 26, the increase is very minimal, and that's because we saw some savings through attrition. All of these changes in administration that we've been finalizing over the last couple of years or a couple months should net about $65,000 in savings. And then we're having 3 teachers leave, but we don't need those 3 FTEs. We're only going to replace about 1.7. And so that would give us about $120,000 in savings there. And even those salaries in 27 and 28, when you look at them on the forecast, when we actually get to those years, I believe those numbers will be reduced, mainly because of retirements. I can't put retirements into the forecast until they're official, but we have the potential of seeing up to 30 retirements in the next 10 years. So I believe those numbers will be much lower by the time we get there. But to that point, with the increased retirements coming up, I did include a $235,000 transfer into our severance fund. We're going to be paying out some severances this year, obviously. And then with those increased possible retirements, I just want to make sure that we have that account funded correctly. That transfer, though, did give us a tiny little bit of deficit spending this year, about $36,000, but that's less than, it's about 1%, a little more than 1% of our budget, and that could easily be wiped away depending on how the actual numbers come in for May and June. And even overall, it still leaves us with a cash balance at June 30th of about $15 million. And that brings us to the last potential challenge, and probably the most concerning. That House version of the budget has language in it that would cap our cash balance at 30% of our expenditures. If that happened, with the way things are right now, we'd only be able to carry over $8.2 million, which means we would be expected to give back 6.8. Now, the Senate version is still unknown, and so we're very hopeful that they're going to just completely eliminate it, or at least change it, modify it so that the percent carryover is higher, or that they put it in some kind of procedure where school districts could present like documentation as to why they need that cash balance. And so currently in the forecast that I presented, I did not forecast that 30% cap being in effect. And so if that were to happen, we would need to revise this forecast and reapprove it in June or July, once we know what that language is starting to look like. But like I said, for now, we're going to assume that there's going to be no cap or no substantial change because of the cap. And if none of the other legislation is discussed, that was discussed earlier, is enacted, we shouldn't have deficit spending next year, which is always good. There is deficits in 27, 28, and 29. That's typical of a forecast, especially years 4 and 5. It's just too many unknowns. Generally, though, things will change, right? And so, as always, our goal has been and will continue to be to adjust and adapt to minimize deficit spending and to push out the need for any levy, I mean, that's a bad word, but as far as possible. So, yeah.
So with the 30% cap, and we'd have to give the money back, is that kind of like a spend it or lose it situation? Like we have it until at what point did they say like, okay, you have to give us this money back?
So it's give it back is kind of misleading. It sounds more like we would lose collections next year. So we would collect 6.2 million less
if we don't use it.
If we don't use it.
So they're punishing people for being fiscally responsible by having a fund of carryover to support the district.
Yes. And every district, I mean, when we were at a meeting with a bunch of other school districts, everybody had a different story as to why they had the balance and what they had planned for it. Nobody's just hoarding money in schools, right? That's not what we're doing. everybody has planned. We have aging facilities. We're going to have to replace roofs. We're going to have to replace and repair much of our buildings that are, 30, 35 years old now. And so we need that. Also, with being a power plant district, we're constantly at risk of losing anywhere from $500,000 to several $1 million based on just random things. And so having that gives us the buffer so that we're not immediately asking our taxpayers to cover those losses. So.
And hopefully with, we have a lot of new homes going in, right, in Perry. So I believe upwards, at one point, the number was over 300. But that was of everything combined, Hidden Village plus Booth Farms and all the different phases of all the different developments where they were building new homes. So I think the current numbers I'm hearing are somewhere around 270 some in Booth Farms that are continuing to be built. Will that have a positive impact on us?
That would have a positive impact. We would see growth in our property tax revenue, and that most likely would not be subject to that House Bill 186 reduction, because that's just growth on the 20-mile floor. This would be new construction, and so that growth would just be new money that we would be bringing in on property taxes.
But potentially more students as well, so.
That's the trade-off.
Okay.
So the 30% that they're saying, what is our current percentage that we would need that cap to extend to?
Right now, at 15%, 15 million, we're a little over 50%. So yeah, like I haven't figured out the right number in between. It wouldn't, yes, I think we have 6.8, because the more we use, it would go higher, but it would be it would be multiple millions.
But because we're not levy dependent, we need to have the cash balance so that we don't have to become levy dependent, and this could potentially push us to become levy dependent.
Yes. I mean, yes, if that is enacted, we will definitely be having some very serious conversations.
So there's a lot in flux, but I think it's good that we're prepared and, taking a conservative, like mindful, but, it's not panic time.
No, and my forecast reflects that. My forecast, if you look at the forecast, we're in a good spot. It's just that there are a couple more unknowns than usual, and so I just want to make sure you guys were aware.
And when we say deficit spending, we're not in what the most public thinks of deficit spending, like we're spending more than we have. We're just taking out of our cash balance.
Right. Yeah.
We
we're
still have a
spending more
significant
than
cash
what we're
balance.
bringing in.
Right, but we're not in debt.
Oh no, not even anywhere close.
Thank you for all
Thank
your
you.
explanation and work on that.
Is that it? For
That
your-
concludes my administrative update.
Thank you. Just checking.
And I listen.
Is there public participation?
Sheena, it's not like we haven't been here for an hour and a half.
It's an unusual meeting. No? Okay. I just have to keep on track. It's unusual. Consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Foley,
Yes.
Mr. Leidig,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts is gone, Mrs. Truxton.
Yes.
Mrs. Sealy.
Yes.
Dr. Thompson, back to you.
Here we go. I don't have any water, so we'll see.
Here, there's
Yeah,
$500.
Thank you. Under A, personal approval of non-renewal, the board is asked to approve the non-renewal of the individuals listed for the position noted as recommended by the local superintendent, assistant superintendent, and director of student services. Under B, personnel approval of contract adjustment. The board is asked to authorize the adjustment of the 24-25 employment contract of the individual noted from 188 days to 187 days, ending May 31st, 2025, as recommended by the local superintendent and chief financial officer, and obviously this is for retirement purposes. Under C, personnel acceptance of retirement, the board is asked to accept the retirement of the individual noted as recommended by the local superintendent and building principal. Under D, personnel acceptance of resignation, the board is asked to accept the resignation of the individuals noted as recommended by the local superintendent. E, personnel change of position, the board is asked to approve the change of position for the individual noted for the position indicated as recommended by the local superintendent. F, personnel approval of appointment, the board is asked to approve the employment of the individuals listed for the position indicated pending successful completion of required employment paperwork, certification, training, and background check as recommended by the local superintendent. Under G, personnel approval of appointment, prep stipend, the board is asked to authorize the chief financial officer to compensate the certificated licensed teacher listed who is entitled to the 1,000 contractual stipend for their work during the 24-25 school year as recommended by the local superintendent, chief financial officer, and building principal. H, personnel approval of appointments, Lake County Schools Healthcare Council, fiscal management. The board is asked to approve the employees listed for the Lake County Schools Healthcare Council fiscal management positions noted as recommended by the local superintendent. Remember, we contract service to the county healthcare. I, personnel approval of appointment independent study. The board is asked to approve the employment of the individuals listed for the second semester independent study supplemental position and rate of pay indicated for the 24-25 school year as recommended by the local superintendent and building principal. Under J, personnel approval appointment 21st Century CCLC, the board is asked to approve the employment of the individuals listed for the PHS 21st Century grant positions and rate of pay indicated as recommended by the building principal and local superintendent. Funds for these positions will be paid out of the federal grant funds awarded to the district as indicated and verified through a timesheet for the dates indicated below. K, personnel approval appointment 21st Century grant summer. The board is asked to approve the employment of the individuals listed for the grant positions and the rate of pay indicated as recommended by the building principal and local superintendent. Funds for these positions will be paid out of the federal grant funds awarded to the district and indicated and verified through the timesheet and the dates indicated below. Under L, personnel approval appointment band camp. The board is asked to approve the individuals listed for the band camp July 7th through the 18th of 2025. Positions indicated as recommended by the local superintendent and building principal. Under M, personnel approval of appointment summer volunteers. The board is asked to approve the individuals listed as a volunteer for the area noted, pending successful completion of background check as recommended by the local superintendent and building principal. Under N, personnel approval of appointment 25-26, supplemental committee 1. The board is asked to approve the employment of the individuals listed below for the supplemental committee position indicated for the 25-26 school year as recommended by the local superintendent and assistant superintendent. Under O, personnel approval appointment 25-26, supplemental committee 2. The board is asked to approve the employment of the individual listed below for the supplemental committee position indicated for the 25-26 school year as recommended by the local superintendent and assistant superintendent. P, personnel approval appointment PAC positions. The board is asked to approve the employment of the individuals listed for the PAC position and rate of pay indicated pending successful completion of required employment paperwork, certification training, and background check as recommended by the local superintendent and athletic director. Under Q, personnel approval appointments, athletic supplementals, the board is asked to approve the employment of the individuals listed for the 25-26 athletic supplemental position and rate of pay indicated pending successful completion of required employment paperwork, certification, training, and background check as recommended by the local superintendent and athletic director. Under R, personnel approval of appointment athletic volunteers, the board is asked to approve the individuals listed as a volunteer for the sport noted pending successful completion of background check and certification as recommended by the local superintendent and athletic director. S, personnel approval of appointment substitutes. The board is asked to approve the individuals noted for the 24-25 daily substitute position listed pending successful completion of required employment paperwork, certification, and background check as recommended by the local superintendent. Under T, personnel approval of appointment substitutes, the board is asked to approve the individual noted for the 25-26 daily substitute position listed pending successful completion of required employment paperwork, certification, and background check as recommended by the local superintendent. U, board policy, second reading. The board is asked to adopt the new revised board policy listed as recommended by the local superintendent. V, approval of out-of-state travel wrestling camp in Michigan. The board is asked to approve the Perry Wrestling grade 7 to 12 to attend the Central Michigan Wrestling Camp from Sunday, July 13th to Wednesday, July 16th in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, as recommended by the local superintendent and athletic director. There will be approximately 20 to 25 Perry students going. The team plans to use district vans for transportation. The distance from Perry to Mount Pleasant is approximately 320 miles. Itinerary is attached that meets the guidelines for mileage. W, approval of out-of-state travel corrective action. The board is asked to approve the corrective action noted previously approved April 15, 2025 as recommended by the chief financial officer and assistant superintendent. Approval X of 2025-26 conferences. The board is asked to approve early dismissal for PES and PMS students as noted for the 25-26 parent-teacher conferences as recommended by the local superintendent and building principal. Lunch will not be served on these days for students. Y, personnel, approval of reemployment, administrative. The board is asked to authorize the chief financial officer to issue salary notices and/or contractual salary adjustments for the 25-26 school year for the following administrative staff members as recommended by the local superintendent. Z, personnel, approval of reemployment, certificated licensed 1. The board is asked to authorize the chief financial officer to issue salary notices, contracts for the 25-26 school year to the following certificated licensed staff members as recommended by the local superintendent. AA, personnel, approval of reemployment, certificated license 2. The board is asked to authorize the chief financial officer to issue a salary notice for the 25-26 school year to the following certificated licensed staff member as recommended by the local superintendent. BB, personnel, approval of reemployment, non-teaching continuing contracts. The board is asked to authorize the chief financial officer to issue salary notices for the 25-26 school year to the following non-teaching staff members with continuing contracts as recommended by the local superintendent. CC, personnel, approval of reemployment, non-teaching limited contracts. The board is asked to authorize the chief financial officer to issue limited contracts or salary notices for the 25-26 school year to the following non-teaching staff members as recommended by the local superintendent. D, personnel, approval of reemployment exempt contracts, hourly. The board is asked to authorize the chief financial officer to issue salary notices, contracts for the 25-26 school year to the exempt staff members listed as recommended by the local superintendent. E, personnel, approval of reemployment exempt contracts. The board is asked to authorize the chief financial officer to issue contracts or salary notices for the 25-26 school year to the exempt staff members listed as recommended by the local superintendent. This concludes my superintendent's report. Did we adjust the date of resignation for that one certificated staff member? And that's in here? Okay. And that should have been noted that I did not note.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion?
I would just like to personally thank Gina Dees for the wonderful job in creating what I hope is her last May agenda.
Thank you, Gina. Roll call, please.
Mr. Leidig?
Yes.
Mrs. Trickster?
Yes.
Mrs. Sealy?
Yes.
Mrs. Foley?
Yes.
We do have a couple of pretty significant hires on this agenda with our Director of Learning and Innovation. Welcome back, Ariana. And Dr. Bassage, who is going to be our middle school principal. So he was approved earlier, but this is a more formal meeting, so welcome. If you each would like, if you have anything you'd like to say, introduce yourselves, please feel free.
I just want to say real quickly, thank you so much for the opportunity. It honestly feels like a dream to be coming back to Perry. I've been gone for 3 years, but I still closely follow the work that you all have been doing, and I'm just so excited to get to work and work alongside all of you. So thank you for having me back.
Thank you. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Nice to see everyone. It's wonderful to hear all the retirement speeches tonight. I have a family of educators. I've watched my dad retire, my mom retire, my grandma, everybody. So it's really nice to hear all the kind words. I mean, I haven't worked with all of those people, but it's wonderful to hear all the great things that they've done. So wonderful. Congratulations on that. I appreciate it as well. I'm very excited to be here. I am so excited to come and be a part of this community and this group. I have been nothing but welcomed by everyone here. I've been getting texts and phone calls and emails and letters at home. I just have felt such a warmth coming over here to Perry. And I've been watching from afar over a town over for several years and seeing all the great things that you've all been doing. I'm very excited to be here and work alongside everyone with the parents and the students and the staff. Also the leadership team. Excited to work with the team, and I feel very fortunate and thankful to be here. So thank you for all of your support. Looking forward to working with all of you and all of our community parents as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
And Dr. Thompson, now you have an addendum report.
Thank you. Under my addendum report, I have another A. Personnel, approval appointment, 24-25 supplemental. The board is asked to approve the individual listed for the 24-25 supplemental noted as recommended by the local superintendent and building principal. Under B, personnel approval appointments, PAC positions. The board is asked to approve the employment of an individual listed for the PAC position and rate of pay indicated pending successful completion of required employment paperwork, certification, training, and background check as recommended by the local superintendent and athletic director. This includes my superintendent's addendum report.
Is there a motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Seoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Leidig?
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer?
Yes. Mrs. Capo?
Thank you. A, approval of financial reports. The board is asked to approve the financial report from April 2025 as recommended by the chief financial officer. B, approval of 5-year forecast. The board is asked to approve the 5-year forecast as presented by the chief financial officer. C, contracts and agreements, Kirtland Shared Facility Maintenance Services. The board is asked to authorize the chief financial officer and superintendent to renew an agreement with Kirtland Local School District for shared facility maintenance services effective August 1st, 2025 through July 31st, 2030, as recommended by the local superintendent and chief financial officer. D, contracts and agreements, Panorama. The board is asked to approve the 1-year service agreement with Panorama Education for MTSS services effective July 1, 2025 to June 30, 2026 in the amount of $19,705 budgeted from student wellness funds as recommended by the assistant superintendent and chief financial officer. Contracts and agreements, Exceptional Kids Therapy 2024-2025 ESY. The board is asked to approve an agreement with Exceptional Kids Therapy Services for physical therapy services to be provided for identified students at the rate of $72 per hour for the 2024-25 extended school year program as recommended by the chief financial officer and director of student services. Duration of services will be determined at each student's ESY team meeting. F, contracts and agreements, Exceptional Kids Therapy 2025-26 school year. The board is asked to approve an agreement with Exceptional Kids Therapy Services for physical therapy services to be provided for identified students at the rate of $72 per hour, 8 hours per week, plus up to 4 additional hours per week as needed for the 2025-26 school year, as recommended by the chief financial officer and the director of student services for a maximum of $31,104. G, contract and agreement, education alternative. The board is asked to approve the 2025-26 Educational Alternative Services Agreement for specialized academic and therapy services for students as deemed necessary by their team, as recommended by the local superintendent and director of student services. The total cost for the program is $37,310 per student, and the district is billed monthly for these services. H, contracts and agreements, Avonire Solutions, Neonet. The board is asked to approve an agreement with Avonire Solutions Neonet for $24,420 for technical resources to architect the migration procedures for AV objects, PCs, member servers, printers, and log-on scripts group policies as recommended by the Chief Financial Officer and Director of Information Technology. I, contracts and agreements, LCSD Healthcare. The board is asked to approve the agreement for Perry Schools to serve as a Lake County School Council fiscal agent from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028, as recommended by the Chief Financial Officer. J, contracts and agreements, Educational Service Center of the Western Reserve. The board is asked to approve the 2025-26 Educational Service Center of the Western Reserve Service Agreement, as recommended by the local superintendent and director of student services. The district will be billed monthly for these services. K, approval of expenditure Camp Fitch. The board is asked to approve an expenditure to Camp Fitch for $19,180.75 for the 2024-25 6th grade camp trip, as recommended by the Chief Financial Officer, local superintendent, and building principal. L, approval of expenditure of Ohio Paving. The board is asked to approve the expenditure in the amount of $134,871.69 for the Ohio Paving and Construction for concrete curbing, ADA ramps, and catch basin repairs under the Sourcewell contract, as recommended by the Chief Financial Officer and Director of Maintenance and Operations. M, approval of legal counsel. The board is asked to approve Brinza, McIntyre, and Seed LLP as legal counsel to the Perry School Board of Education relative to property valuation challenges. N, acceptance of grant funds. Booster Family. The board is asked to accept a grant from the Booster Family Foundation in the amount of $1,000 and to approve the appropriations for such grant to be placed in Fund 019 FCC 95D as recommended by the building principal and chief financial officer. The grant was awarded to Mrs. Soder for Wellness Week activities. O, transfer of funds. The board is asked to authorize the chief financial officer to transfer any remaining funds from the class of 2025 account into the class of 2027 account after all invoices are paid for fiscal year 2025, as recommended by the chief financial officer and the building principal. And this concludes my chief financial officer report.
Is there a motion?
So, second.
Any discussion?
I do.
Yes.
So Jen, on letter M, the legal counsel,
Yes,
so there's no contract or anything there, but is that just to,
they filed the counter complaint on the Vistra's challenge to their
okay,
evaluation. We couldn't use our normal because there was a conflict of interest. But this, they're used in Benton Carroll as well.
Yeah, the same
this firm.
attorneys that Ben Carroll's using as well.
And I think we'll be talking under new business. They're going to come in, they're going to come in and give us some information on exactly what the process is, where we're at. So we will need to schedule a work session in order to get that information and get the full scope of what is happening and what our role in it is, because we're able to argue back with we can appeal, right, their valuation reduction.
Right, we did file a counterclaim.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then now we kind of hope to reach a settlement.
Because we're one of the few entities that can fight it because I don't remember what it's called, but like a taxing entity, right?
So you're only allowed to challenge or file the counterclaims at certain thresholds. $60 million difference certainly hit the thresholds. And we're protecting the tax base on something like that. When they come out to meet with us, it will be an executive session, we meet with your attorneys on that. Really to talk about what their strategy is going to be, your strategy for them on fighting this. As Jen mentioned during her 5-year forecast, the longer it goes on, there's a loss. And because the effective rate at lower for everybody else on the valuation, everybody's paying a lower rate. And so if they're not paying it and they win, we're receiving less dollars annually for that. So we're actually in a race against time as well. And so we'll kind of detail all those things out. We'll meet with the board, the attorneys, we'll strategize, try to get dates set up. I really think how much this will cost to fight, to go through this process.
so what we're approving here is just to work with that legal counsel?
Yes.
Not a dollar amount yet?
No.
Because that's not on here.
No, we just have
I
to.
don't want to agree to something that I don't know what I'm agreeing
Well, we'll talk about that. All they did right now is file a counter complaint.
Okay.
And we want to sit down with the board to kind of talk about strategy on that.
Okay. So, question just regarding, is this a placeholder, or do we actually have students slated to go to educational alternatives? Placeholder? Okay. And that, so if we don't send anyone, we're not on the hook for that dollar amount?
Sorry, I missed. We have one.
Oh,
We're bringing to that one.
okay,
So yes, not really.
got it. Exceptional kids therapy, they're coming into the district, right? On letter F, is that during the school year?
Yeah, that's just.
PT? Okay.
I have a question about that one too. So E was basically as needed for the 24-25 school year. And then F,
Extended
we
school.
have,
Right.
It's extended.
or the, I'm
Summer.
sorry, but we had it as needed. What did we base the F on? Is that this year's amounts that were contracted with them?
You mean, is letter E for
Yeah,
just
letter-
summer services?
Letter E is just.
It's just
it's
open-ended.
just summer
F is
services. But the 25-26 for next school year.
Is a set amount.
It's a set, it's
Okay.
not a set amount, it's entirely dependent for how much physical.
Gotcha, but the estimated 8 plus an additional 4, is that different than the extended? So here it's just, okay, so I see what you're saying. It's not a set at all for over the summer.
Right.
An estimated cost for the 25-26 is the 4, but it could go additional.
It could.
Okay.
It could. We hope it's a pretty long and great history. We have a pretty good idea of our hands know when all of those effective services are going to be far out. The things keep happening in the summer. Sometimes we might lose a student or gain several students, and it can change pretty dramatically. But right now, we have really, really good projections on it. Right? So it should be pretty standard projected, but could change.
Okay.
Are they providing pre-K through 12 in districts during the school year? Okay.
Is there any other discussion?
Just panorama, is that a specific grade level? Again, the panorama contract that's on there?
Not a specific grade level. We are still doing the surveys, 5-12, the student-facing surveys.
Okay, nothing has changed.
But we use the at-risk predictor, the MTSS system for K-12, but the surveys are specific population of students, but we do use the MTSS sort of projection software for academic attendance. We do that.
Okay.
The surveys are sort of where they've been the last year and a half.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Truxner?
Yes.
Mrs. Seoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Foley?
Yes.
And Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Unfinished business. So just an update. I did speak or check in with Mr. Sagoni, our attorney, regarding the Champion Farms property. We did request the legal fees from the village and the JED. We have not heard back from the village yet. They had offered about half of what we'd incurred for like closing costs, and we have not heard back. He reached out about a month ago, heard nothing back. Reached out again a few days ago, has heard nothing back. So right now, we're not really sure what is going on with those. The original agreement was, the township, the village wanted to purchase the property and couldn't do it without the help of the school. So we did step in and purchase the property and help them out with that. And the understanding and the agreement in the contract was that we would end up whole, and we have nothing to gain from it. We shouldn't certainly lose anything from trying to do what's right for our community and help out our community. But we do have to protect our taxpayers and our students. And so we are looking to recover anything that we should certainly not be negative from helping out. There was a little bit of misinformation that may have been put out there to the media. I did see something in the minutes that, they had tried to transfer the property. The property was meant to transfer when they paid it in full in 2022. There was something said that maybe the school was a holdup in that, and I did confirm with the attorney that we were waiting on some property information and I believe it was delineations. Let me see exactly what he said. Yes, we had to wait on the village for legal description of the land. We received that November 4th, so pretty closely after that, there was a little bit of more discussion regarding easements and deed restrictions that we had held on the property, and then that transferred over just a few months ago. So that property transfer is complete, the deed restrictions are filed, the easement has been filed, so now the last remaining thing is that we don't end up paying to have helped out. So we're just looking to be made whole in that instance, because we really gain nothing from doing that whole service for them. Did I miss anything, Mrs. Capo?
I don't.
Okay. So hopefully we can have a conversation and work together and try to make sure that we are working cohesively and doing what's best for all of our taxpayers moving forward. Is there any other unfinished business?
We keep talking about having a governmental affairs meeting, and I think we need to reach out. I don't know, I'm looking around like that. We always say that, who does it?
Didn't Elias say he was gonna set that up?
I don't remember.
Did a work session a long time
I
ago.
didn't know, I didn't remember who said it, but
Because then Karen Sunday.
maybe we should just reach out.
Yeah.
and Get a governmental affairs meeting set up, because like that information about the housing developments going in,
It's good
that's
to know.
important for us to know. If we're gonna have an influx of kids coming in, it would be really helpful.
So hopefully we can.
We'll replenish what we lost over the years, right? Because we are down quite a couple 500 students, so
Yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah, we're not gonna get 500 of them.
no.
That's where we're at.
But as we staff, we want to make sure we're keeping our class sizes where it's beneficial for students and teachers and doing the best for our kids. So we need to know when people are moving in. And there's never guarantees on numbers of kids and all that, but good to be aware of. Under new business, we do need to make a few modifications. We do need to add a work session in so that we can do have the conversation with our legal team regarding the power plant's valuation. So I think we were looking to do that hopefully the first week of June. Is that the goal, Mr. Gallant? Their availability was, they wanted to come in about the first week of June?
They didn't really say, but that'd be probably ideal.
Okay.
Better.
So let's try to see what our schedules are so we can get that set. June 3rd would be the first Tuesday of June. I potentially could. My son's having his wisdom teeth out, so I'm not sure how that's gonna go. We can hope for the best.
I'm out. Like, I won't be around until June 10th,
Okay.
starting the last day of school.
Oh,
So my
Can they
availability
do
is
as soon as
shot.
next Tuesday?
Yes.
Is anyone available next Tuesday, the 27th?
Celebrator at the end of the school year.
I could do next Tuesday. It would have to be like 6:30.
Hold on, so that would be the 27th?
Yes.
At what time?
I have a conflict, but I don't necessarily matter.
Could,
Oh, you matter, Lou.
I could do earlier in the day. If we could do.
I'm free all day that day, so.
The 27th?
Yep.
I can't do till after, oh boy.
I don't think we want to do it Memorial Day, right?
I can't do till 6 o'clock at night.
So Kathleen, you can do 6:30, or Lou's out though. We want,
I mean, that's okay.
You want to do that morning? I can do morning.
It's like 8 a.m. the 27th.
Oh, I can, yeah, mornings.
I can do that.
Lou, morning?
So try to do 8:30. 8 a.m.
It's the day after Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Ooh.
8:30.
All right, 8:45.
You're gonna be such.
Going 9.
Hot dog.
I mean, I could do 10 a.m.
What is
I'm free all day.
8:30.
8:30. We could do
Potato
8:30.
salad.
Can we try and see
Jen?
if they're available 8:30? We can adjust as needed. When do we need to notice that? 24 hours before, so by Friday?
Yeah, Friday.
We don't want to make Mrs. D's send out notices on Memorial Day.
So, hold on.
All right, so let's say that would be the 26th, 27th in the morning. And then for the June meeting, I think it's come to our attention that 2 of us are out of town. So I don't think that's enough. Could we move that to the 25th?
Wait.
It's supposed to be the 24th.
Oh,
You're still gonna be out of
I'm
town.
out of town the 21st through the 28th.
I won't be here the 25th.
Maybe like 16th?
I can do the 17th or the 16th.
I'm out of
Actually, the
town that
17th. I can't do the 16th.
You're
I'm
out.
out of town that week.
I can't do the 16th
Do we,
either.
do we?
Summer has hit.
I think we
Does
do
Jen
need
need a meeting to close out the year? How about the 30th? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's why we always have it later.
That's why it's
Yeah,
always
so
late.
we can get everything in.
You're ahead of schedule, right?
You can do the 3, right?
We can do it with 3. We just have to have 3 that can make it. So
I'm out the last week of June, but I will be here.
Were you
the
at your
30th.
birthday, Jess?
My birthday? That's the 16th is an anniversary, 19th anniversary category.
18th is your birthday, right?
18th is my birthday, yeah, big one.
So are we looking at, can we do, so who
How big?
can't, we
Just
can't do the
45.
25th, because you're gone the 25th.
I'm going
You're
the
gone.
25th.
30th?
We can we move it, 17th is out, right? That whole week is out?
I'm good the 17th, but
Okay.
I'm gone that week, but if there's some free.
The 30th?
Mhm.
In the morning.
I can do the 30th anytime.
Or no, no.
Anytime.
Jen, what do you need?
You have to be
Yeah,
here
that-
for
isn't
that.
that a little too?
I could make the 30th work and we did.
It would be better to do the morning.
Okay,
I have to send certain stuff to
Well,
the
why don't we do it
auditor
at
by
the end of that week?
That'll be a regular meeting?
6th and
but we
7th.
could do
30th?
the 17th
Just do it that
too, if
week.
that works.
well, they're all gone
No,
now.
they're not.
When are you guys at?
You guys are available the 26th or 27th, aren't you?
I am,
In the morning?
Yeah.
Let's
I'm
do,
on a work trip, but
Oh.
that would be the three of them.
Oh, I'm
no,
out.
she's out,
Oh,
so.
I thought you three were here.
I have a work trip that week.
Do that. Yes, I know that, that's why we do the morning.
16 or 17.
Is the 30th too late for you, Jen?
No, if that's what works, I would make that work.
Let's just do the 30th in the morning, let's say 9 AM, does that work for everyone?
It's a regular meeting?
Yeah,
Does that work?
sure. I'll probably be driving in from out of town. Mhm.
Well, if you can't make it, that's okay, we'll have 3.
But you three can be here for sure, right? Okay, then go.
Okay, so let's do June
I'll
30th,
put it on, it's a possibility.
sorry,
What time?
9 AM.
Okay.
And that's a regular meeting, so it'll be recorded, so it's, if people can't make it to watch, I mean, we will make it to be here, but. All right,
sorry. There.
Staff retreat.
and then, okay, and then we want to set up a date and time for a board retreat as well. So we can, it was recommended by Finding Leaders when we hired our new superintendent to have a board retreat with him so we can set our expectations and make sure we get a refresher on ethics rules, all those things, and make sure that our communication standards are set and all that. So, Mr. Porcelli, you definitely have to be at that one. So what does your schedule look like for the summer?
I'm pretty open outside of June 13th.
Okay. Well, we've already established June is not a good month for anything. So let's look into
July.
July.
Keep it on the day we have it.
What do we
Make it
have it?
over. We have a meeting scheduled the 15th. We could, and then I could get it done. I want to have it. It would be, we already have a meeting scheduled.
July.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about I think I'll be there at that time. Sorry, we've got basketball tournaments and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, 15th is good for
I wonder
me.
if we should just like try to make it longer.
Yeah, so we could do the board meeting and then do the retreat right after or before? Are you free is anyone free in the daytime?
It's sunny.
We can be outdoors. It's
I mean, we could have
conversation.
it at the beach if we
What day
want.
is that?
And so
July
let's
15th.
tentatively say July 15th. We'll figure out a time. Let me reach out to Finding Leaders to see what their schedule is. And then we can settle that at the not 2-hour meeting. We can debate it. That work for everyone?
Got it.
All right. That was
To your
the
house?
most difficult
Yeah.
part of the evening.
Can I drive your
Yep.
boys?
Yep, you can take anybody you want to then.
Okay, so correspondence,
But the-
is there any other new business
Two.
before I move on?
You flip them off.
I don't think so.
All right, so then we will send out notice of the next Board of Education meeting, so it is not what is on this agenda. The district is closed May 26th for Memorial Day. The last day of classes for students in pre-K to 11 will be May 30th, 2025. The district will be closed June 19th. The next Board of Education meeting is scheduled for June 24th, 2025 at 5:45 PM, but it's not. It's going to be sooner than that, so that notice will go out. Sorry, I was reading without.
It's later.
Is there any other public participation? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
Jesse,
Come on. Say yes.
super fast.
Yes, 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 yes.
Thank you all for coming.